All right, I'm back. I've got my iron board set up. And before you iron, if you've never ironed before, you don't want to start on a shirt, okay? You need a little bit of practice. First of all, this is my iron. It is very hot. If I touch that, I will burn myself, like a 3rd-degree burn kind of burn. Not fun, no good, don't go there. First, you're going to look at the top and decide what setting you need to do. And I'm going to do this cotton bandana first. So I'm going to put it at a cotton setting, which in this case, this iron actually tells you that cotton is a 6, which is really, really hot. Cotton needs to be very, very hot. But if you're doing a cotton blend, you're going to turn it down. Like if it's a poly cotton, you're going to want something a little cooler. You're going to do the cotton blend, which is like 4. So it goes from all the way over here to over here. I'll have to show you some close-ups of it later. But I'm going to put it at about a 5. It's getting hot. Notice I don't leave it set like this. If I leave it like this, it'll burn and scorch this. All right? Don't want to do that. So you always have your iron up. Some ironing boards have a stand that goes with it. Some ironing boards have a silicone pad. That's fine too. Just make sure that whatever it's sitting on while you're doing something else isn't going to catch fire or melt. All right? So my iron is here, getting hot. Now this bandana is fine. It came out of the dryer, didn't get taken out immediately, but even then it would still be wrinkled. And if I wanted to use this as a face mask or on my head, I don't want it to look like that, okay? I'd just assume it was ironed. And I just assume it was a little crisp. So I'm going to lay it out the way I want. And in this case, since I want it to smell nice, I'm going to use my best press. Light. All right, spray it a little bit and then let it sit for just a little bit. When I was a kid, my grandmother would take the laundry that she was going to starch. She would sprinkle it with water and then she would put it in a bag and let it sit for 20 minutes and then take it out. Why? Because she was going to set creases and she was going to do some really good pressing and she wanted the fibers to be relaxed. All right? It's just a bandana, not that big a deal, but I do want it square. I don't want it, it turns out that fabric stretches this way. Fabric does not stretch this way. So I could pull this out of shape. So I want to put it down in the way I want it to be when I finish. Okay? So I want it square. So I lay it down nice and square. Then I take my hot iron and I start carefully ironing the surface. Ironing is moving it along like this. If I was to press this, I would set it down, pick it up, set it down, pick it up. That's pressing, all right? And you get a different results. In this case, I'm ironing because this can iron. Now, when I moved over, my cord folded this over. Make sure you straighten it out. And I carefully iron this half of it. And find something flat like this to iron, something easy, even though you wouldn't normally iron a dish towel, a handkerchief, or something to practice. When I was very little, my father used to have handkerchiefs that he took with him to work, and my mother taught me to iron by doing handkerchiefs. She paid me a penny a piece, which doesn't sound like a lot of money, but not a lot of work either. So I lay out the other half, I spray it, I wait a little bit, let it soak in. Make sure it's arranged just so. And you can see here it says 100% cotton. Well, you can look at the fiber content and know what temperature set your iron by what it is you're ironing, okay? Very important. You can melt some fabrics. I've seen people take an iron and touch something not realizing how hot their iron is and literally melt a hole in the garment. Can't be fixed, all right? Especially some of the synthetics like rayons, linings in jackets, they will melt if you don't do it right. So now I'm going to iron this side. Again, I'm doing the edges, making it nice and square. If it wants to move on me, I go arrange it again. The object is to make sure it's flat and square. All right. Now, as I look at this, it's a little damp in the middle still. I didn't iron the middle enough, so let me get the middle. Make it flat and iron the center. Now, I'm going to hold this up so you can see what it looks like. Much better, right? This will look much better on my head, on my nose, whatever it is. It'll look nice, all right? Fact is, probably looks nicer than when I bought it, because when I bought it, when they did it in China, which is where they made this, they weren't real careful on their pressing, and it wasn't square, it was twisted, because if you pull the fabric on the bias, it will stretch. Another thing you might want to iron is napkins. If your mother has, or you have cloth napkins, you might want to do that. So now this is ready for me to pack to take with me. All right? So that's not too bad. Now once you've mastered using a hot iron without burning yourself, then we'll move on to more complicated things. And a shirt is one of the more complicated things, and we're going to talk about that. It has a collar. This one has long sleeves and a cuff, has buttons, and it has a placket. All of those have to be considered when we're ironing, okay? Turns out there's a certain order you iron a shirt in. If you iron it incorrectly, you end up re-ironing things. So the first thing you're going to do is iron your collar. Collar's ironed from the back side, okay? And you want the collar, at least I want this collar to be slightly stiff because I want it to stand up. My husband wears this to work. Even though they do dress casual, their casual looks nice. They don't look rumpled. So I'm putting a little bit of this sizing in it, letting it sit a minute. But again, I'm doing it from the back. Now, the collar has two parts. It has the part that's right around your neck, and then the part that has the points. Both of those have to be flat. The rest of the shirt, notice I've got it all kind of bent here, because I need this to be flat. Now I take my hand and hold the collar on this side, far away from the hot end of the iron, and I iron down the collar while I'm holding it taut. That lets me get it nice and smooth and nice and flat. Now I'm going to move to the part that goes around the neck. Again, same idea. I pull it from here and I work my way down. And I'm going to iron it until it is dry from my sizing. And I can tell it's dry because it changes color. The sizing makes it look darker. You can tell this is almost dry. All right. So I have one collar ironed. First thing. Next thing is you work on your sleeves. Now, the first part of the sleeves you do is the cuff. Now this is where having a special ironing board for cuffs is great. Most of you don't have one. I could use my pressing iron piece. Let me go get that. So I could put it around here, but that's not what this is designed for. There is an ironing board just for this, but most people don't have them anymore. So I'm going to do it without. But I can't stretch this flat. If I pull it here, this side wrinkles. If I pull this one flat, this side wrinkles. So we're going to have to iron in the curve. So let me get my sizing back. Careful you don't touch that hot iron. I'm going to spray sizing on my cuff. All right. Now, I'm going to lay one part flat. All that I can get flat. And then I'm going to iron that. And then when I get about to the middle, I shift. And I get the next part flat. And I iron that. Uh-oh, I ironed a wrinkle in. Now what? Well, the easiest thing to do is get a little more sizing. Give it a little squirt. Kind of work it out with my hand. And then iron it flat. That's all there is to it. If you iron a wrinkle in, just get it moist again and iron it again. I'm working my way around this cuff. Now there's two buttons here. On the iron, there's a little bitty groove. That groove is so that you can get underneath the buttons. Now, I need to do the other side of the buttons. There's buttons on this. I can iron on this side easy, but I can't on this side. So I have to turn this completely around and iron the other side. And one of the nice things about an iron is it's got that point. I can use the point in between the buttons. So, okay, I got one cuff done. Now I got to do the other cuff. Again, I'm going to get it wet with my sizing. I'm going to organize myself so I have a flat place to iron. This time starting with the buttons. So I do one side of the buttons. I'm going to turn this because I'm seriously right-handed. And do the other side of the buttons. And now I'm going to start going down the cuff. A little bit at a time, holding the cuff so it doesn't get wrinkled, and that you're always ironing on a flat space, this flat part. And this takes a little practice. You might have to do more than one shirt before it comes out right. And you get lots faster as you iron more shirts. Alright, so this cuff is done. Now we're going to do the sleeve. Now, you have to look at our sleeve. My husband likes a crease down the center of his arm, okay? Well, if you look at the sleeve, this is the seam on the bottom. If I hold it by that seam at the cuff and at the armpit and shake this, I can get it to lay flat. And I have to turn my cuff here. Move all this fabric out of the way. Holding on to this seam, then I work my fabric. Work it until I've got it nice and flat. Now, what's interesting is it usually isn't where the shoulder seam is. It's usually a little bit past the shoulder seam. Sure. Okay, now I've got this flat. To make sure there's no wrinkles on the other side, because I'm going to be ironing the top fabric and the back fabric at the same time. And if there's a crease anywhere, I end up putting that crease into when I'm sewing. So let me get my sizing. Now where I'm going to run into trouble is trying to do this part that has these little pleats. Okay, first I'm going to set my crease, and then I'm going to worry about these. Okay, so let's set the crease. Starting at the bottom, and I'm working my way up to this top piece. And the reason you do the sleeves first, and see how this is all bunched up? You wouldn't want to have ironed all of this and then you scrunch it up trying to get to your sleeve. So that's why you do the sleeves first. There's a method to this madness. Now, as I'm coming down this way, first of all, I feel the bump where the placket is, the part where the button, the opening is for the sleeve. So I have to be careful about that, and I'll iron that from the other side. I'm just going to come up here to get this top part. Now that I've got my crease put in, I'm going to turn this over and look to see that I didn't get any wrinkles, which I did not. And I'm going to look at my placket and see if that ironed well. Need to iron just a little more right here. And I'm using the point of the iron to get into the little crevices. All right, so one iron sleeve with a crease. Okay, I don't know if you can see, but it's got a nice crease in it. Now I got to do the other one. So we've already done the cuff. So now I'm going to line up the sleeve. Make sure it's nice and flat. This wants to bunch up here. Let's see what's happening here. Oh, there we go. Gotta make sure it is flat. And it's better to fuss with it now than to have to iron out the creases later. Okay, not that you can't, you can, but it's easier if you don't have to worry about that. There we go. Be a little. It's still not flat. There we go. It's starting to get flat. All right. Start here at the bottom, work my way up. I get to the top and I set that crease in. All right, let's look at the other side, see how we did. Uh-oh, I've got a crease. Oh no, well, not a big deal. Okay, it's right there. I'm going to put a little sizing on it. And it needs to come up this way. There we go. So now I've got both my sleeves done and my collar. Now we're going to do the shoulders. And I'm going to move this ironing board over a little bit so you can see the end. To do around the shoulders, you use the end of the board. That's why it's round like it is. I'm going to put my sleeve so it's right on the end, and the seam that goes on the shoulder is right down the middle. And then I'm going to iron what's called the yoke. Then a little sizing, pulling the collar up so I don't have any wrinkles. All around the collar there. Now I'm going to work my way to the back part, the middle of the back. Keep working my way along. I'm right smack dab in the middle of the back. The important part is the part that you're ironing is nice and flat. The rest of it is hanging there, hopefully not getting wrinkled. You just worry about the part you're going to be ironing, making sure that that's flat. Working my way along the yoke. Now come to the seam on the other side. Uh-oh, I've ironed a little wrinkle in here. Let's fix that. The shoulder, and one last piece to do on the top, and it's towards the front, right up here where the placket meets the collar. All right, now those are all the hard parts of the shirt iron. Now we just have the flat parts to do. So we're going to start with the side that has the placket. The placket is the part that has the holes with the buttons on it, that has this little flap on it. In a women's blouse, usually they don't have plackets, but sometimes they do. All right, so I lay this nice and flat. Again, the main trick is that you lay it properly so that when you iron it, it doesn't get wrinkles. So that's kind of what takes a little bit of practice. I'm going to do this placket nice. I'm going to pull here so I get it nice and straight. Nice and flat. Now here's the pocket. I want to make sure I iron it nice and flat. It looks nice and square with the world. There's the front part of the shirt. And now I move to the part underneath the arm. Now, that has a French seam. That's one of those seams that's stitched like 3 different times. It's stitched one way, folded over, stitched again, and stitched down. It's a French seam. It makes it really strong. The seams in the underneath here are French seams so you don't break them as you pull. Okay? Iron that nice and flat. And then you just keep working your way around a little bit at a time. Don't be in a hurry. It's better to do it once, slowly, than twice, fast. Now this shirt has a gusset in the back. That's a little fold that gives it more stretch. And you kind of have to pay attention how you want to iron that. So when I get there, I'll talk about that in a minute. But I'll show you what I'm talking about. Let's see here. In the middle of the back, let's see if we can hold this up. See that part that's folded here? Okay? We want to make sure we iron that properly. And some people don't like to have a crease in it, and some people do. At most laundries, they go ahead and crease it because it's easier. My grandmother taught me not to do that, so I do kind of a blend. Go ahead and spray it. I'm going to iron underneath it. I'm going to iron this part flat. I'm going to go underneath on this side. Then I'm going to hold it the way I want it. And then I'm going to press it. Press it right up here. Just the top part. And this, I'll iron flat. And so it has a little bit of press in the center. That's the way I like to do it. Not necessary to do it that way. You can do either all pressed down, make a placket all the way, folded piece all the way down, or you can just not have any crease in it at all. Okay, so now I keep going around the shirt. Now I'm at the other sleeve. Again, it has that French seam. You need to be careful with the French seam that it's nice and flat again. Like I said, I keep saying it. Just make sure it's nice and flat when you're going to iron. Alright. Almost done. Working towards the front again. Move my sleeve back. Spray this here. Do you notice that my hand stays way away from the hot part of the iron? No matter what I'm doing, I'm holding things, pulling things, I'm always a ways away. Keep your fingers away. It will burn. It will hurt. Okay? So here's the last part. This part here has the buttons. I don't know if you can see the buttons here. They kind of be in the way for ironing. But like I said, the iron has that little teeny groove to help you do that. So I'm going to start here at the bottom. I'm going to come up to this button and do this side. Do this middle part here. Come up to this button, do this side, do that side. All around the button. Take advantage of that groove on the iron to do that. All right, I've gone all the way around my shirt. It is now ironed. In this case, this shirt has a button-down collar, so I'm going to go ahead and put the button on it. And get the other button on it. And I think I forgot to bring my hanger. Oh no! I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. It's really important that you hang up your shirt as soon as you finish ironing it. If you don't, it'll just get wrinkled again, and you have to iron it again. That's no fun. So get the shirt and then adjust it. Get it so it hangs right. Okay? Oh, when I look at this shirt, don't like how that came out. Let me do this again. And all this squatting back and forth. The center yoke in the back does not look good. Go in and give it another press. You can do that. That's the trick about ironing. You can always go fix it, unless you burn it. If you burn it, there's no fixing it. There we go. And my husband likes the top button buttoned, so I'll go ahead and do that. And that way it doesn't fall off the hanger. And that is one pressed shirt. All right, so now it also talks about folding a shirt. Folding a shirt is very different than this. So I'm going to turn off my iron, and we're going to fold this shirt. Folding a shirt, if you don't fold it right, you just put all kinds of wrinkles in it. So first of all, when you fold a shirt, you have to button it all the way down. So I'm going to button the top button. And then work my way down. One more. Okay, that's buttoned. I'm going to button my cuffs. So basically the shirt's all buttoned up. All the parts that's supposed to get buttoned get buttoned. All right, so first thing you do is you can put your shirt collar down, okay? And you're going to fold it. You got to fold in the sleeves. You're going to do about halfway across the shoulder. And then you have this sleeve out here, and it comes down. This one, same thing. Halfway across the shoulder. Make sure you don't mess up the crease you put in it, and that folds down. Now I'm doing this on the ironing board, so I gotta adjust things a little bit. Basically, you can see how that's all folded nice and square. Then you fold up about a third, arrange it, make sure the cuffs are laying flat, and then the other third. So you end up with a shirt folded like that. All right? Hope that made sense. Anyway, that's how I iron a shirt. Your mom or your grandmother or your dad may have a different way to do it, and that's all right. The trick is to have it smooth and have it look professional and have you look sharp in your uniform. That's the shirt I would recommend you iron.